Good morning, hello and welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Anastasia Horonis, clinical psychologist, and today I'm bringing you another video with another daily reflection for those of you who are in addiction recovery. If you are someone who is thinking about addiction recovery, if you are considering entering or starting the process of making some changes for yourself, if you feel like you have an unhealthy relationship with a substance or a behavior in your life, then this video series might be for you. This is an opportunity for people to stop and reflect around a particular theme in their life as it relates to addiction recovery. Now, there are lots of daily reflection books that are out there, and if you've watched past videos of mine, you will see that sometimes I do like to read one of the passages from the daily reflection books, but I also have started writing a few of my own, and these are based on themes that I've been seeing from clients that I treat in the clinic around things that they find they struggle with within their recovery journey and throughout the process. And so I've written a couple of daily reflections based on my clinical experience, and I'm going to be sharing those with you. So the theme for today's daily reflection is self-criticism and how self-criticism can be a risk. So I'm going to read it out for you, and then I'm going to share a couple of my thoughts around it, what I typically see with the clients that I work with, and perhaps some ways in which we can be really mindful and conscious of the ways in which self-criticism can show up and potentially sabotage recovery. So the passage is this: when self-criticism becomes a risk. Many people think that being hard on themselves keeps them accountable. In reality, constant self-criticism actually works the opposite way. It raises our stress, drains our motivation, and increases the risk of relapses. When your inner voice turns harsh, your brain shifts into threat mode, not change mode. In recovery, progress depends on stability, not on punishment. You can acknowledge mistakes without attacking yourself. A lapse becomes more likely when guilt turns into hopelessness. What protects you is curiosity, asking what happened instead of what's wrong with me. Today, if you catch yourself sliding into self-blame, just stop, pause, and think about the facts. This is self-criticism showing up. Take a slow breath. Remind yourself that learning counts more than perfection. The goal isn't to be flawless, it's to stay connected to recovery and to keep on going. So a couple of thoughts from me as a clinician around the topic of self-criticism. This is one of the most challenging and potentially risky things I see show up in the patients that I'm working with. When people enter a state of very harsh and chronic self-criticism, it can sometimes feel useful. Sometimes people feel like they're actually going to do better if they're really hard on themselves, or if they punish themselves for making mistakes. We know that in reality, the opposite is true. The research tells us this, that self-compassion has much more effect in the long run than self-criticism does. Now look, this is not to say that we should completely get rid of all forms of self-criticism or keeping ourselves in alignment. We do need that inner critic, that internal voice that tells us when we've done something wrong, or that tells us when we have perhaps acted in a way that is not aligned with our moral code. We need that internal voice to sort of keep us on track. But there's a difference between that voice showing up and saying, hey, that wasn't so great, was it? Let's do better next time. There's a difference between that and that voice showing up and saying things like, you are worthless, you are stupid, you don't deserve anything, you don't deserve recovery, everyone hates you, you're a worthless, useless person. That's not helpful. That is going to lead someone down a shame spiral, and it's going to be a huge risk for relapse. So if you notice that you have an internal voice that is particularly hard and harsh on you, it's important to firstly be able to recognize that so you can start to practice to move that towards self-compassion. Self-compassion essentially taps into this sense of we're human. Everyone makes mistakes, everyone has flaws, no one is perfect, but instead of being overly hard on myself, how can I take the learnings from this experience to move me forward in a positive direction in my recovery. So there are a few thoughts from me around the topic of internal self-criticism, the different ways that it can show up and how it can be potentially damaging to someone's recovery journey. I would love to hear from you if you have any thoughts around the passage or any thoughts around the theme of self-criticism and that inner critic voice that can show up. Please feel free to leave comments and your thoughts and reflections in the comment section down below. But otherwise, I wish you a great day and all the best with your recovery.